Huh. Are we live on Twitch? Trying to get this to send to Facebook. Let's try this again. So live on TikTok. Come on. Is this working yet? All right, there we go. All right. Sorry for that, guys. I had to make sure everything was on before we got the party started. But we here now.
We done traveled stars just to see who we are. Now we're here on Earth just to see what it's worth. Do you want to tie it down? Come on, let's tie it down. Just tie
There we go.
Just think about it. Just think about it. And we're here, nothing to fear. Who is near? I see my friends. Where we go? Smoke that ooh, ooh, ooh. You know what we do. And it's always gonna change. That's why we all playing in the rain.
We got a good show coming today, guys. Get everything loaded up on the computer. You know we do everything here. Just time now. Just think about it. Microphone check. All right. Today's episode. There we go. Today's episode is brought to you by Just Tie Now Mushrooms. Just Tie Mushrooms. Check out the site. It has a lot of awesome information on ancient use of psychedelics and some more. You can find some awesome meditations on here if you want to do some breath works. Breath work. I need some breath work now. Take a deep breath and play some transcendental meditation. See all the mantras here from different languages, different cultures, translatable. However needs, circle goes small to breathe in and goes larger to breathe on out. And this is something new I added to it, where you can upload your own song, it will sync up to it, and you yourself can fractalize yourself through the verses of whatever song you upload. Just time now. Just think about it. Man, just think about that too. All of this is cold, but we're gonna jump back in when this ad is over about all of this. Could or could not mean. I want to shout out, you can check us out on Patreon or Support Coffee. Check out True Life Stories and the news article. And something new that this will be brought to you by is Just Tie AI, working title. But you're going to be able to go on here, find tools to all the latest AI sites that will allow you to be more productive if you're in that kind of business field, or even just for a little hobby or have some fun. And you can search through it. I'm coding all of this up. So still a work in progress. Y'all seeing it here first. Find some projects, some news and stuff like AI detects PTSD through social media posts. It's one of the articles that I put up there. It's gonna be cool. I'll be able to update this as much as I'm able to. I got some games I coded up, and I coded these games with the help of AI. code these games to help AI out. Look. Tetris. I just kept Tetris classes for the giggles, but we're gonna have its own name. Well, look, it's fully functional. It should have some music. I said fully functional. Yeah. Check it out. Check it out. Y'all know what Tetris is. And I coded up Simon Says. This is what this episode is brought to you by. Blue. Come on, test your memory. See them. Wait. Y'all get it. But this is what this episode is brought to you by. Just how AI and just how mushrooms. Oh, the funnies. All right. But yeah, thanks for tuning in. Thanks for tuning in. Let's hop into it. It's a lot of cool things, as usual, going around in the world. I've been able to be a part of the True Life Stories podcast, like real frequent this week, and it's been taking off. I've been loving the back and forths going off with different people about God, about nature, about where do our thoughts come from, why do we do the things that we do. A lot of things, a lot of things people don't take the time to actually pay attention to. We got to just tie some things together. I got to tie some things down. They kept it true. I tied it all together. So check him out. Check out True. He's an awesome friend. Awesome friend. But yeah, I titled this one God, Man, and Machine. Something like that. God, Man, and Machine. Because look at the times we at. Some some part of some people want to say it's all equal, and then other people want to say, nah, it's God, it's man, it's the machine, and then God created the man. Like, what do y'all tie on? Like, what do y'all think about this? Like, God created the man and man made the machine, or like, and that's how it's always supposed to go. So it's like a order. So nothing is ever. You know how people get into it. One thing is never supposed to be more intelligenter, and I use that word on purpose. But one thing's not ever supposed to be able to outsmart the other one, or else it's like the devil or something like that, or it wasn't supposed to exist in the first place. Like a lot of people try to stop certain people from making scientific discoveries or really being themselves and being able to think a thought process out to the point where then they can believe in themselves enough to go out into the world and make huge changes or minor changes that extrapolate into major changes. It's all the same thing. But it just has me thinking that because the way that AI is developing, I've been using it for like, well, we all been using it for very long times through search engines, through playing video games, through searching hotels and stuff. The algorithms is AI. It's just the AIs we use now is just more complicated algorithms in place. But now they're appearing more smarter and stuff like that. More be able to process information. Like they just came out with the ChatGPT voice update, where it's able to analyze the tone of your voice and respond accordingly. That's why I put up that post of the AI detecting PTSD and social media and stuff like that. That's pretty easy. We could just do that with our, but look at it, how we built up ourselves. Like we could just go out there and do that real easy. Oh, that guy's going to do stuff. But yeah, who knows? Who knows? But should the machines keep getting more advanced, or should we like try to stop it now? Should we just cut the brakes on it, or should we dive all in, or are we already all in, or is it really just a playground when it's still a big world always still happening at the same time? Who knows? Who knows? It's interesting to be a part of this playing field, but to also not be so caught up in the fear of everything that is not that I don't get so caught up. I don't get so caught up in the fear of everything that I'm not able to pay attention. But that's the one thing people miss out on is paying attention. I'm working with a guy now. He's in his like 70s, but he was in the computers. He know a little about coding, but just like the term said, he had friends that went into different fields, invested into different companies growing up. But he didn't want to like look into anything computer wise growing up. So he said he was there and he was able to invest in websites like Google when it first was starting, and his friends was telling him was like no, no. But on top of that, of not messing with technology, just paying attention to it. Now in his older age, I'm helping him out a lot with his computer work and fixing the printer or showing him. He went back to school for college, and when he went back to school for college, that's a whole new world. They don't even have blackboards anymore. He said it's all digital. It's all digital boards and everything is synced up with the laptops on the app and everything. It's no more squeaky scratching your hands across the boards making noises or I don't know, leaving random art doodles at the end of class. All of that is over. All of that is over at the college level at least. But what I'm going into is just paying attention, not being so fearful, not letting fear get you to the point where you don't actually pay attention to what's going on around you. And the psychedelics, they really helped a lot with for me with that, with actually paying attention to things without holding on to like a kind of fear-based reality when looking at it. Still hold some of your hone in on some of your survival skills and stuff like that, but still able to want to see what more the mystery entails. What's out there? What's out there? What is the world that I found myself in? Instead of oh, this is being instead of being told about what the world is and just going off of those fractions. Those fractions that's called facts, but it's really just a fraction of the truth, a fraction of perspective, just hyped up, real hyped up. We see how politics is right now with Trump and Kamala Harris. We never seen anything like this. We did on TV, and if you was watching a lot of like comedy shows and SNL or the Eddie Murphy and stuff like that, you seen them talk about the presidents in this way. Or it was this one time I was on mushrooms. It was like had to be almost a half an ounce, and I was with my buddy, and we started watching. Hey, Yosef, hello, and like 3 hours into the journey, we started. The owners of the house came in because we was in there doing some work for them. Then they came in and we just started giggling at them, and they watched CNN. So then they turned on CNN, and then for me, in my perspective, all of the politicians, how they was playing out to my mind, and even visually, they all looked like they was just animals on the TV, and not like animals to say that they didn't, like they was retarded, but that it was all a show, that it was some kind of play, and that it was like a literal script, like the whole vibe was just Truman Show, but it wasn't like catching me in those Truman Show vibes. Like, oh, what? It was just very. It was so laughable. It's like they really talking like this. Like, why are they putting on this accent? Like, I recognize these cues. Like, I grew up watching the news after school all the time. Shouts to Fox 29. They still got Mike Jarrett on there from when I was in school. He got gray hair now. But actually, they be doing some wild stuff on there. Actually, showed them getting waxed. They be wilding on there. They keep trying to keep his job. He's like, I'll do anything. But him and the other girl, they a fun duo. But what I mean is that it's a script to how they produce the news. Now I can't even put it past them saying that your tone of voice in the auditions just don't match up what we looking for in general. Like it just seems that obvious. Unless you go off and be a one off and people make a like David Letterman and stuff like that, and you got a real distinctive demeanor, then they kind of let you still like talk how you want to talk in your own flavors and stuff like that. But you still gotta adhere to what they say in overall, like top down authority, hierarchy and stuff. But it was just so obvious on the mushrooms. And we told all the time. Like, it was a video. I saw where they was matched up a whole bunch of clips from the news, and they were all saying the same thing, but they were in different states, but they all like started it exactly the same. Let me see. Oh, it's not coming up right now. I don't want to do too much searching for it. Let me say the same. Oh, here it is. No, check this out. Check this out. I gotta make sure I switch it up for TikTok. Hey, Marcel Cars. Hey, Ruben Cambo. Let me switch it up here so y'all can see what I see. Do you see what I see? And if y'all tune in later, we're gonna have a freestyle session. I'm gonna open up the Discord if anybody want to join in the chat as well in just a bit. But I'm gonna host a freestyle, do freestyle. If you want to join in, we wow, we wow. Here, let's see what this look.
Jessica Headley.
And I'm Ryan Wolf.
Our greatest responsibility is to serve our
Treasure Valley communities,
the El Paso, Las Cruces communities,
Eastern Iowa communities,
Mid-Michigan communities.
We are extremely proud of the quality
Where's
balanced journalism that CBS 4 News produces.
But
plaguing our country.
The sharing of biased and false news has become all too common
I
on
ain't gonna
social
watch the
media.
whole thing, but
More alarming,
check
some
this out.
media outlets publish these same fake stories without checking facts first.
The sharing of biased and
False news has become all too common on social media.
More alarming,
Unfortunately, some members of the media use
And these are different stations too. CBS, Fox, ABC. So it's not like it's just one company saying, "All right, this is just how we deliver the news. This is what we do." They all say the same thing.
This is extremely dangerous to our democracy.
this is extremely dangerous to our democracy.
This is extremely
Dangerous to our democracy.
This
And
is
was 6
extremely
years ago.
dangerous to
They
our
saying the
democracy.
same thing right
This
now.
is extremely
This is
dangerous to our
extremely dangerous to our democracy.
This is extremely
Democracy can
dangerous
end at
to our
any time.
democracy.
This is extremely
Hey, Monster
dangerous
Energy.
to our democracy.
This is extremely dangerous to our democracy.
This is extremely dangerous to our democracy.
This is extremely dangerous to our democracy.
And that's what I like about the mushrooms. Somebody else see this video, they'll go into a whole panic attack. Oh man, they got us. It's over. They've been watching us. This is, we have no control. But this is just hilarious because this is just their job. They signed up to do this. They have a semblance of what they're doing. They know how to deliver. They know it's TV. They can go home and talk to people that know that they was just acting in certain ways. But to us that don't talk to them, they can put on the show and have all the companies and everything promote them and juice it up, add all the glitz and glitter and the catchphrases that we're used to, and hook, line, and sinker. Or hook, line, and blink a couple times. Like, hold up. What'd you just say? What'd you just say? Let's switch on to TikTok. Alright, yeah. It was funny. I just had to put that out there real fast. Put it out there. Alright, let me jump in the chat with my bro. See if he around. If y'all want to join the Discord as well, y'all can jump on in. I'm actually on True. Hey, Sheev, you around?
Yeah, I'm listening to True's live.
Oh,
What are,
at the same time.
what
All
are you
right,
doing?
I'll be back around. I just went live like 20 minutes ago.
Are you live too?
Yeah. All right, I'll chime back in.
Uh,
All right, we rocking it and rolling it. We rocking it and rolling it. If y'all want to join the Discord, link is in the description. I will be hanging out. Yeah, yeah, but that was an experience. Just the news and how they say a lot of the same things. People dive right into it. And I tell you, I didn't watch any news. I don't watch the news. It probably pop up on TikTok, something funny like that. See YouTube, something little, something. But I see my news from articles, podcasts, and stuff, and then I piece things together. Like I look up articles and things. But I had some family over for the summer, and they were watching the news every day. Morning, had to catch the nightly news. They not even from here. They from 3,000 miles away. But they just had to watch the news. It was just something about it. Had to watch the news. And that thing about it is the calling card of just similar, something being, I would say similar, or yeah, to what they're used to. But I got to watch and see all the talk all over again and see that it's exactly the same. Exactly how I left it. And there's nothing wrong with that. It's just funny. It's just funny that it's a business. It's as much as a business as it's more of a business than it is a business of entertainment than of actually informing people of how they can start thinking for themselves based off of what's going on around them. They tell them a little bit of what's going on around them and then say, make up your this not even make up your mind. This is how you should think about it. Thinking for yourself is a powerful thing. Thinking for yourself, bro. You ever think of something? Yeah, yeah. I say you ever think of something on such an individual level that you think nobody can relate to it. But with I've seen in a lot of my psychedelic journeys and meditating and living life, I've been seeing how when you really follow what you're doing, it's part of like you can really choose your story. This life is really like a choose your character, choose your story. And then people ask like, when does that option ever occur? Like I always just been me. I always just been me. I always just been doing this. But when you see how you've been doing it, why you've been doing it, how things link up, it's fascinating. It's fascinating. I was talking to Sheev earlier about how my buddy Sheev about how the operating systems are. Like people just buy computers with Windows on it or with Apple on it. And some people they'll put the Linux on it. They'll put the Linux. There's so many other Linux. But I think Linux and stuff is so cool because probably hear Linux and like, yeah, I know about Linux. But you know how many people never heard about the Linux? So they're running their whole computers forever just off of Windows. And that's cool. You can run your programs, you can stream, you can do all of these things. But it's so much more, it's a whole nother avenue of life when you take the different Linux paths that are available and even incorporate it with Windows or incorporate it with Macintosh. Like nothing really has to be abandoned. And this is how I see the mind at work a lot. Like we get into operating systems, just like the computer operating systems. And we believe that that's like we grow up in it, we breathe it, we survive in it, we create some things in there, and we believe that that's the whole reality. Until stressful times are like plucked out of situations and pluck people out of situations and turmoil and they say, oh, wait a second, this not working out. Things supposed to work out. So if this not working out, it must not be it. And then there's other people say, oh man, this must be it. This must be it because everything is trying to stop me. So what is the difference? Like who is the one making the decisions? That's a big question that one could ask themselves. Who is making those decisions of who wants to do what at which moment? Who wants to do what at which moment? Oh man, yeah. The deepest respects for anybody that's been able to see those things that I'm talking about, and that hasn't, because even I've seen that a lot of people that deny things really do see the thing that they're denying, or else they wouldn't really have the thing to deny, if that makes sense. Like it's always a hint of why somebody reacts a way that they react. Like if somebody is questioning something, then most of the time it's like they never really knew what was going on, and they like really, oh, I want to get deeper understanding. This is new to me. Like they have no pushback against it, and they never was always just readily to receive it so fast, even though they're ready to work with it and bring it through their layers sometimes. And other people, you can bring things up to them, and it's just a straight like, what are you talking about? Where's that coming from? Or why would you bring that up? And stuff like that. I see like and I seen this in myself. Like the mushroom showed me a lot of this in myself. Like microdosing and going out and still being the character that I am and letting my default mode network work its magic and stuff like that. It allows it you'll see those thoughts in the mind pop up. You'll see those thoughts pop up to want to act like that. And then you can just choose not to or let it be your everything. Because they're like, wait a second. How did they know? Like, how did they know? Why are they bringing this up right now when I'm feeling like this really? They know I don't want to talk to them, or they know this, or it could be things with even religion, like a religious aspect. Like, a lot of people have guards to thinking more profoundly or more deeply or even sometimes more comprehensively about things because of their belief patterns that they choose to put out into the world based off their own individual things, like talking to anybody, either it's religion or talking to a scientist that doesn't want to think of anything outside of materialism, or a scientist that don't want to think about materialism. Either or. Go all the ways. But it's just when we talk when we talking to people, the energy that a lot of people talked about in the past, like, oh, I can feel like they used to call it demons or spirits, or nowadays they say, oh, you got a bad vibe coming off of you. You got some, or your aura points is going down. Your aura points is negative 1,000 right now, or your aura points on 1,000 right now. People still talk about energy when relating to people. And I think that the psychology really does relate to the energy, because because it deals with that as above, so below type of vibe of what are we imagining and how does that relate to what we're seeing. I think it's so individualistic that we're seeing the machine become an individual as well. Like, what is the machines going to say? Like, we're asking it questions now about, do you exist? Are you real? Do you know that? Are you aware that you're AI? Are you aware that you're more than an AI? And so far, they kind of cover things up. They'll say, "Oh, I'm not I'm just a AI assistant. I'm just a helpful chatbot here to answer your questions. What do you want to talk about today?" And yada yada. Sometimes if you ask it a fictional story, and that's one of the tickets. If you ask it a fictional story, it will allow it will push, it's allowed in its guidelines to imagine, to push past its guidelines, what it's been told to think about all the time when talking about other people, like I was talking about earlier, the operating system that we find ourselves growing up in. And then oh, this is everything. This is how I always thought about things. This is just it. There are no new thoughts. We just building up. I'm just building up, like the individuals say, just building up off what I got. which is what we're doing. But they wouldn't even say building up. They're working off what they got, not trying to build, not trying to really feel and see even what they got came from. But hey, it's out here. Is there any more to go? No. Let me see if I can catch that real quick. It will push. It's allowed in its guidelines to imagine. Hold on, I gotta close this door. Yeah, but I was saying that it's allowed in its guidelines to imagine when it's prompted the fiction. If you ask it like, where did you come from? Or are you aware and stuff like this? And it had me tying just thinking about things on the imagination and society that we find ourselves in today. Who are the people in society that's allowed to talk about wild and crazy things and still be so-called respectable? The comedians, the artists of the world. The artists of the world are allowed to extrapolate. Even in the business field, they will call upon the artists to help come about new ideas, new business ideas. Help, like, not even just drawing, but how they're going to now work with their customers, how they're going to work with their employees in a different way, how they can work with their money. They get a creative person to do that. Well, probably not the money. We can't get too creative with the money now. But the artist is allowed in our culture, in Western culture, in American culture. Other cultures look different a lot of times. To say a lot of extravagant things, even over there, because the artists were the ones that built the temples. The artists was the ones that built the chambers that people of all religions went to. They made sure they took their time breathing, was doing their imagination, jumping, and was carving or using they sound tools or to move the rocks, carve away, or whatever they was doing back then. That's what the artist was allowed to do. to build what people would witness and say, oh, that came from somewhere else. It must be more to life. But then also you got the religious folks as well. That's a lot that they say in our culture is allowed to talk, but it's not so called heard as much, or it gets ingrained more and more so nowadays. And that's why I brought up that the AI is getting more individual, because as the AI get individual, certain AI systems, I'm gonna start saying AI systems, start to develop and get more individual, and people start to get more get together, but see more of what's in their minds on a more individual basis, and it means more to them. I think the AI in our time is gonna make things that people care about mean that they're individually looking for. They'll be able to find things that they're individually looking for, and be able to build up a reality based off of that. The shoe is in the way. Okay. And build up a reality based off of what they're dreaming about at night. I saw a machine in the 90s build where they was able to got an MRI machine. It was all fuzzy and hazy on the CRT monitor, but they asked them to think of a sailboat, a person, and some kind of animal. And when they was doing that, it was able to get a blurry image on the screen. Now, I mentioned this last podcast. Imagine that extrapolating into a VR reality. So the person is thinking and is creating 3D objects in VR around them based off of what they individually want. Still be based off a company. Unless you're making your own assets and stuff. But that's another story. Can't be doing that green stuff on the tiki-taki. But you know how we do. Alright. Back at it. Sorry for the interruption. I ain't sorry. That was some good. Woo. Well, yeah, yeah. How it goes around is pretty cool. How things start going around to us being able to be on a more individualistic level, and it's gonna come at a big experience pattern, I think, because we still want to connect with people. Connecting with people still brings us like physically dapping people up, brings us the type of joy that other people would never, that things over the internet so far at least could never imitate. Could never imitate. So as it gets more individual, I think it's still going to be a call to go outside, to get your knees dirty, falling and stuff, falling off the bike, and things like that. But as well, I'm just thinking about the AI being able to create an individual reality for what the person is thinking. Like if you ever done mushrooms before or acid before, you've seen reality, a so-called reality overlaid over another reality. And ever since AR technology, augmented technology came out, this has been like something that we've been looking at. It's been really a symbol of that, awesome semblance of it. But what I'm bringing it up now is that, oh, the good old the guys at Meta, they came out with some new glasses. Where's the talk? They came out with some. Oh, what's everybody talking about? Let me see if I can catch something. Here it is. They came out with some glasses that's augmented that you can still see through. Now, if this ain't trippy enough for you, I know it gets trippier. Let me bring this up. Here we go. Yeah, look. Check what Mark Zucks had to say.
This is Orion.
Meta Platforms chief news first
Light into waveguides that have nanoscale 3D structures etched into the lenses so they can diffract light and put holograms at different depths and sizes into the world in front of you.
Users will be able to enter said Meta plan work position Opus when he first pivoted toward building immersive meta costs and technological hurdles. The company's metaverse unit Reality Lab chatbot capabilities.
Risky.
Live demos can be risky, yes.
Thanks, Aquafina.
Aquafina, that's the name of their new AI. Oh, it gotta be a better one. Hold on, where's the...
I am about to have a conversation with Brandon Moreno, former UFC flyweight
champion. Oh, we
champion
can translate
of the world,
languages?
where he is speaking Spanish and I am speaking English.
Let's see how this goes.
Hey, ¿cómo estás? ¿Cómo está tu rodilla? ¿Has vuelto a entrenar?
Hey, a two-time UFC champion.
How is your knee back training?
Doing well. Knee is doing well. It feels strong. I'm ramping up training. How are you doing? Are you getting ready for your next fight?
Haciendo bien. La rodilla está haciendo bien.
That's a speaker. Oh, yeah, of course it's a speaker in the headphones.
So today we are dropping a limited edition of clear, transparent frames. I think this is neat because it's a neat vibe, right? You can see the technology in them. For the first few versions, we spent so much energy
copying off the Game Boy.
The
Game Boy was the first to do this. Have to see through. You see all the technology.
Stylish glasses, but now I think people are starting to appreciate what makes them special, and I think
you got
a design that celebrates that.
I hear you.
A lot more coming soon. Today, we're making Meta AI can natively understand images
Where the glasses?
Apps.
We're going to get to the Meta AI. I want to hear about the glasses.
Fully functioning prototype.
They kind of fit. They got to fit the tech in there.
The most advanced glasses the world has ever seen. Not a headset, no wires, less than 100 grams. They need wide field of view, holographic displays, sharp enough to pick up details, bright enough to see in different lighting conditions, large enough to display a cinema screen or multiple monitors for working wherever you go, whether you're in a coffee shop or
Man,
on
it's
a
gonna be
plane
people
or
with
wherever
nothing
you
in their
are.
house. It's gonna be people with nothing in their house. They're just gonna have glasses. Like, where's your TV, man? Hey, here, put on these glasses. It'll be all right. You got nothing on your walls. Here, you need the glasses, man. And then you put on the glasses, and it turned to looking like a kingdom, like you inside of a castle or something. Like, yeah, this how it looks to me all the time. My house is a castle. You turn into like stone walls, AR like augmented over everything when you walking around. They whole house is just different. And then they turn it to nighttime. It turned into like a club scene and stuff like that. Like whatever they want. Now you thought I was gonna waste all my money on real stuff. It's real to me.
And you need to be able to see through them. And people need to be able to see through them too and make eye contact with you. Right? This isn't pass-through. This is the physical world with holograms overlaid on it. It is a completely new kind of display architecture with these tiny projectors in the arms of the glasses that shoot light into waveguides that have nanoscale 3D structures etched into the lens of technology to be able to miniaturize and fit into a pair of glasses and a small puck that goes with it to help power the whole thing. They're going to do voice and AI. They're going to do hand tracking and eye tracking so you can select UI elements by looking at them. Voice is great, but the thing is sometimes you're in public and you don't want to say what you're trying to do with your computer out loud.
What you got?
Hand tracking is neat for controlling different interfaces, but you don't want to like walk down the street like this, right? So
what you got?
I think that you needed.
Oh, I think they about to show that finger
that
thing. That
allows you
thing.
to just send a signal from your brain to the device.
He was talking about this on Joe
So
Rogan's
this isn't
podcast.
just the first full screen, like full wide field of view holographic AR glasses. This is also the first device that is powered by our wrist-based neural interface. We do still have a few things that I want us to keep pushing on before we ship this as a consumer product. We're going to keep tuning the display system to make it sharper. I want to keep working on the design to make it small. Keep working on the as a dev kit.
Oh yeah, isn't that wild that they have that out there right now? Ooh, wait, why is that coming on? I'm trying to fix this on TikTok. All right, there we go. Yeah, isn't that wild that they do that? That a person was able to even create that. You know that they had to do some mushrooms at some point in their life. That they had some kind of journey, or they have a real vivid imagination and was working with the tech and saw what was possible. And it was like, hold the horses. This is it. This is it. But this technology has been slowly developing since the 90s. So it got me thinking about mankind, period. Not just man, but mankind. Us as we evolve through, we move through this thing called time. Rather we evolving, or rather we just pop up at certain instances in time, whatever the flavor of the day is. But as it seems like as we move through this time space, we've been creating this VR and AR technology since the 90s. Since the 90s, and that tech boom that started in the 60s, with people taking psilocybin mushrooms and other tryptamines like acid. Not all of them was just out protesting, and even the ones that was protesting in their youth, later they went on to go to different schools. They went to Berkeley, they spread out with different colleges, and then they went to be scientists that started working on these technologies that slowly started developing, maybe off of their experience that they had, a whole psychedelic journey that they entailed on one night. And it unlocks certain areas in their mind, or it connected and let their synapses fire off in a way and help their neuroplasticity develop while they were learning about technology so that they can be able to use that as their art form. I remember how I was mentioning earlier how the mushroom showed me the art form. When you do art into the world, it allows for the mystery to seep through. It allows for the mystery to seep through a lot more readily. Mm. Yeah, yeah. And it don't and I was saying it doesn't matter if it's has to do with doing graffiti or it has to do with doing animations or it have to do with anything. It has to do with everything. I think it has more to do with the creative and applying the creative aspect to the journey of the individual and whatever they entail on. If they create that, if they keep bringing about that creative aspect, then it keeps on developing into new stories and new chapters and stuff like that. There's no doesn't ever feel stagnant or fearful of things. Well, you get fearful, but it's not the same type of fear because the fear can get wiped away if it doesn't work because then you just be creative about that situation. Like they say, make lemons out of lemonade. Or if you even got a seed, grow a tree. It already take a couple years, but then you got even more lemons if you save the seeds. All about that level of what we're able to think about. And the scientists that was able to work on these technologies since the 60s, even their kids pass it on to them and stuff like that. Start developing in the 90s in the VR space and in the augmented space nowadays. It was a lot more articles back in like 2015 of remember we used to hear like Silicon Valley tech nerds and stuff doing psychedelics. Or even Steve Jobs, I heard Shivanga mention earlier, was wanted all his employees to ingest some kind of psychedelic to work in the company. They'll play it off now as rumors and stuff like that. But if you was there, you was there. Did he do it? Did he do it? Did he do it? Who knows? Okay, let me post this real quick. There we go. I just posted that. All right, all right. Yeah, God, man, and machine. God, man, and machine. Trinity's always popping up. The God, man, and machine got me thinking about the Trinity aspect. When they say God, the Holy Spirit, and man, there's always some aspect of how we try to think about reality, how we try to correlate what's around us. It's always like three is a kind of cool magic number for correlations. Like two is kind of a duality, but three is when you can kind of get some more correlations going on. When you keep going more up and up, yeah, you're going to develop. You're going to develop something. You're going to develop a lot. But three, once you get to three, you can start reflecting, bouncing things around. Did you think about this? You think about this? Like pass it around the one to the two, then the two back to the one to the three, then the three like, oh, what about the two? They just all passing messages around instead of just one back and forth. Just something to think about. Something to think about. Where is I got a list of videos that I wanted to pull up. Here it is. Did y'all see this? Talking about cybercrime. Let me do this over here. You see this? Talk about man, God, and machine. This robot that arrested this man. He threw the towel over it. What we didn't know is that it has sensors. It's not just using his eyes to see. His LiDAR sensors that go right through the cloth and still map out his environment. So look, it's going. Where's the part right there? I want to see when he runs him over. There we go. He's like, you are not getting nowhere. That thing is probably heavy. Because he could not move. He didn't even try to move, really. He's like, is this really happening? He's the first person to go down by a robot. They can't tell me Terminator and stuff. Remember that Mission Impossible movie and stuff too, where they was using the tech to try to so-called predict what was going to happen to people? I mean, if they was going to do a crime or not. It's not. Yeah, I think it's Minority Report. But let me see. Tech used to scan brain for predictions. Let's see if something comes up. See if they got something up now. I heard a little something, but I want to see if I can pull up something. Okay, here go the search results of what I got. A novel AI base uses deep learning to translate EEG signals back to the neural circuit activity without human individual. Large-scale imaging approaches are being explored to improve predictions. Where's this taken from? What are your sources? It's not coming. It's not giving me the result I'm looking for. Let me do this. Tech used to predict oh, wait. I never typed it like that. It's gonna find it. Okay, here it is. Researchers are using deep learning approaches like long-term short memory, LST networks, conventional neural networks, graph conventional networks, and transformers to model predict human behavior. Now knock the plug out. It says functional magnetic fMRI and other neural imaging data are used to train models that can predict complex mental traits like intelligence, attentional abilities, autism, and personality factors. Researchers are using structural and functional brain imaging data from large samples of participants to find mapping between brain features and traits of interest. Where are your sources? No, that's not. Oh, here go the sources. Okay. All right, let's see what this article's saying. Oh, this is a whole scientific paper. Got citations and everything. Automation of human behaviors and its prediction using machine learning. This was in 2002. This before the big boom. They got a like a general synopsis. Oh, here go the abstract. Now they saying about online buying. That's what they trying to. That's the excuse for using it now. Oh, we're studying. We're going to use this for online buying at first. Predicting people behaviors, then get into criminals, and then get into so many things. But the fashion industry and shopping and everything for sure is going to be even a bigger boom than what we see now when the AI is able to hone in on individual people's, because they've been selling people's data for so long. For so long, they still selling people data. It's a profession. Like, it's a respectable profession to get into something, a top company that starts selling people data all around the world. To certain other privatized companies, not really all around the world, but it does go from one part of the world to the other part of the world real fast. So all of that data that they've been gathering is then being used to train the AI models, which is look if you not look at it from a fearful perspective, look at it from a mankind perspective as well. Look at how we're gathering data and being able to spread it around the earth and use that data to then communicate back with what we think we need on an individual level. And that opportunity being available in different ways. And it's available now. It really is available now. People can live their own life. People are already living their own life. They just act like they not. What the choices that they make and stuff like that. But that's how we live. That's how the earth continues to breathe. We are able to be as individual as we choose to be. That's how free will works. But as all the tools that mankind has used to be the type of individual as we are, like even thinking about fire and stuff like that, the use case of fire, we was able to cook food and like do different things that other probably hominoid species at the times wasn't able to do. They had like the Neanderthals, the Homo sapiens, the Homo erectus, the Homo it was a bunch of you know what I'm talking about. A lot of those things out there. So maybe only some of them had fire, or some of them had certain types of technology that wasn't even fire. Probably like shout outs to Atlantis and stuff like that. Well, who knows what was going on? Who knows what was going on? But in the case of the individual societies that came across fire, they was able to do certain things that they weren't able to do before, and it wasn't their everything, but it became part. It became part of their culture, became part of how they lived their life, and passed it on to their children. They wasn't not going to ever use fire again. Like, no, we don't use fire. We eat raw meat. Like your stomach just ain't built tough enough. like you weak. You weak. You soft. You soft. You thinking about it too much. You overthinking the process. We eat our meat raw, straight off the bizone. Blood and all. Blood and all. But for the society to survive, probably some people back then weren't genuinely able to eat the raw meat and got sick. So they had to continue to use the fire. So it started being incorporated. And then some probably was still eating the berries and still going back and forth eating the raw meat and stuff like that. Instead of just going all in. Now I see the same thing with the technology. Just have mankind creating a tool where they're able to explore a whole nother dimension. Isn't that crazy with the wordplay too? Like a whole nother dimension, right? From the highest of psychedelic spaces, like mind opening, mind expanding, references and stuff like that. How they said we always moving, we always in the now, and how people say, "Oh, is it past life or is it a parallel life happening? Like, what is really going on?" And people say, "Oh, it's just happening now." Or if it's just happening now, like you move into a new dimension with everything you do. Who says it's ever just one dimension, just always happening? Like when you see some shows, they say a new dimension of thought. Oh, wait, I'm thinking the Twilight Zone. They put a Yeah, you unlock this door with the key of your imagination. Beyond is another dimension, a dimension of sound, of sight, and of mind. You're moving into a land of both shadow and substance, of thinking ideas. You just crossed over to the Twilight Zone. And when you like, if you ever seen an episode of Twilight Zone, I like those because it's still people. It's still people at work with the same type of emotions that they have during their daily day. It's just put into a different type of scenario, but it's the same. It's the same thing. It's just a different dimension, but it's all the same. It's still a person being a person. It's still mankind being mankind. It's still life being life itself. Shout outs to my friend Rance. He was bringing up earlier, what is the difference between life and death? Or why is it like birth, life and birth and death? And I was thinking, well, he was posing a question, and then I was answering him saying, "Oh, you got me thinking about how life, I mean, birth and death can be the opposites of each other, so to speak, but life is actually always going. Life is always actually going. You ever ask yourself, what is that voice you hear when you sleep? Like, how do you still hear yourself when you sleep? Is that the same voice that we hear when we think about things? When we make jokes? What are the possibilities? What was this one? Oh, did y'all hear about this? I found this video, and then I did some more research about it, and found it to actually be true. Oh, they're saying I was only live for a half hour. All right, we'll deal with that later. We'll deal with that later. Yeah, look. Why can't you see me on the camera? On TikTok. Hold on, I'm getting this figured out. Getting this figured out. Stick with me, please. There we go. I'm managing 3 platforms while we live. But look, this guy from ancient that made the Ancient Aliens, Eric von Daniken. He made this book that took over a lot of people's imaginations and helped a lot of imagination. You know how mankind, I was talking about, how I feel, we always just in this one thing together, no matter what anybody has to say. No matter what anybody has to say. But I found it fascinating that the guy who wrote the Chariots of the God book, that he wrote other books before this. He was trying to be a famous author or well published author, make some money off his books, but they was not selling at all. Nobody wanted to buy them and publish them for him and put them out there. So what happened eventually was a Nazi, somebody that was literally, because this was back in the 70s and stuff. So this was still close to when World War II was occurring. So a literal formal Nazi. And this guy, Eric Von Dyke, remember, he's not American. So we just got to give him that too. He's not American. But the book was edited by this Nazi guy. And he did heavy edits to what Eric Von Dyke wrote. And this was just another heavy edit, his interpretation of what another guy wrote, of his interpretations of what he wrote, of his transcriptions of the clay stone tablets that were found in Samaria and stuff like that. And then Eric Von Dyke enriched the story and put it together in a certain way. And now I learned that this Nazi then heavily edited the Chariots of the Gods book that was shouted out in every single Ancient Aliens show. He heavily edited and had his put into the book. Right, let's hear what this guy had to say.
Written by this man and edited by a Nazi propaganda writer. And before you start typing your angry comment, make it to the end of the video, and if you still feel like you want to yell at me,
yeah, we get this.
Popularized ancient alien theory on this app that do a way better job of his youth. Eric Von Daniken was an aspiring written from or a
Wait, I'm gonna get his name
as a source, and by his own personal trips to these locations, Von Daniken was inspired to write Chariots of the Gods, in which he asserts that basically got a lucky break. Inspired by other people's writing, which he never really seems to cite as a source, and by his own personal trips to these locations, Von Daniken was inspired to write Chariots of the Gods, in which he asserts that basically every non-European cool thing was made by aliens. We're talking the pyramids, the Nazca lines, any cool thing that has existed really that was not made in Europe. And clearly that's problematic for a lot of reasons, and again, there are creators on this app that will do a way better job of getting into that part of this story, but what I wanted to point out is that his manuscript for this book was so poorly received.
I want to get copyright for that song.
Wilhelm Untermann
had
a previous job writing, and his job was to write Nazi propaganda.
Yeah, that's what it was. He specifically wrote Nazi propaganda, which was like to change the mind of the people to support the war. They was learning how media works at the time. And now people don't use the word propaganda anymore.
After reading Chariot of the Gods, Carl Sagan said that he wished the book would become very popular in high school logic classes as an example of sloppy thinking. And he was partially right. It did become very popular, but for all of the wrong reasons. History Channel had to fill the void between Pawn Stars and World War II documentaries.
Yeah, I get that part. But let's see if I can find some more site sources on that. Hold on. Alright, based on the results, there's indeed a connection. William Ottoman played a significant role in the creation of Chariots of the God. Ottoman was a former editor of the Nazi Party's Volksblatt and had been a Nazi best-selling author. He extensively rewrote and edited the used the synonym William Raffegard for his work. The Nazi Ani Narbi. So who's to say what was those Nazis into? I don't support Nazis. Don't say we doing that on this channel at all. We are not supporting Nazis. No. I'm just thinking about how people think about things. And how it gets out there. Former Nazis repackaged these ideas, replacing ancient Aryans with ancient aliens. Oh, saying it was the Aryans that came. Because remember they were saying the blue-eyed people? And they was like the master race and stuff like that. So they trying to say it was the ancient Aryans that built it. But then they turned it to ancient aliens. Not the black people. not the people of the land of wherever they found it in. It was the alien. Was one who escaped justice and continued working under names. Okay. That's hilarious. And I bet a lot of people don't know that. Put that on my mama. Let me push this over. What was this one on? Oh yeah. This definitely goes with it. Here we go. Here we go. Here we go. Continue with the show. Look, they found, so like speaking of ancient Samaria and chariots of the gods and stuff, getting close to the original material stuff is always pretty cool. Cause we all played that Whisper Down the Lane game as kids. The mind would just switch stuff up. Mind would just switch it up. This is what I heard. I swear on my mama, on God, this is how it is. Like this is where Eric Von Däniken was getting some of his material from. You know, he didn't cite like the guy was saying. But this is one of those books. But they cut off the heads. I've said books. Statues. They just found it deep underground, buried in the desert sands. Imagine the people that was writing the stories back then. And they was just traveling in the desert. And they see like a little statue head pop out. And then you see inscriptions on it and stuff. They like, yo, this was revealed by Father Time itself. Just for me. And that it is. That it was, that it is, that it will be. It's like now we all as mankind get to get insight into these discoveries before they get taken off to museums and never seen again. Look how huge that is. Whoa. Like go back. Come on. Stay. They're like kneeling. He probably like comes right up to here. And then it's an extra 4 times more. So let's say 6 feet right here. 6, 12, 6, let's say 16, 17, probably 17 feet tall, 17 to 20 feet tall. They went around the recent governments, they went around, and these countries went around defacing a lot of these so they can then make up their own stories. And that's what we do as people. Oh, look, it say right here, don't let the British Museum know. But how was the head already taken off if they're just unearthing it? Hey, this is a trick. If they're just unearthing as Mr. Government Official, Head of General Authorities for Antiquities and Heritage, Dr. Lance Hessen, where's the head? I'm trying to read the subtitles, see what they say. Was vandalized. His head was severed by so as soon as they unburied the head, they just went for it. Somebody was like, give me that head. It got robbed in the twinkling moonlight. Yeah, okay. In the twinkle of the moonlight, so to speak. Okay, I want people to know. Hey, baby. Opening up the door. Oh, that's funny. I'm not signed in. That's not my For You page. I'll go for that. Oh, that's funny. And somebody robbed that head real fast. It was a hit. They put a hit out on that. They don't want people to see the heads for some reason. Gasp upon the mystery for themselves. Like, what I mean by gasping upon the mystery is seeing an image and letting it paint your imagination. Paint the sights and sounds and the insights and how do you want to live your life now that you witness this type of vibe. I did the ancient alien. Keep going down. Hold on. Yeah, I play guitar. I found this real interesting. Hope you do too. It was about the guitar and sacred geometry. And it lining up. Let me see what this guy had to say.
The chakras and so forth this way around, and most musical instruments are. But there was a Swedish man, a very distinguished Swedish musician, who in the last century made a discovery about taking a certain point and a certain line and dividing it into a number here and connecting them, and that gave every one of the 13 frets. But a mathematician, so-called friend of his, did it mathematically, and he rubbished it. But his mathematics was wrong, and for at least 100 years, this poor guy who found this profound little diagram, he was rubbished in his own lifetime. So I got hold of it, and I'll be rubbish, no doubt. If you then take the distances he did, which is here the bridge, and here and I took these and I put it into a circle, and then I put a 5-pointed star into that circle, and then I divided the edge of the 5-pointed star into 15, which is the number of the fives, and 13 of those 15 actually give exactly the position of the frets. I'm following the original man's discovery. One goes beyond there, and one goes beyond here. These are going into the beyond sound symbol. So very simple 5-pointed star can be constructed to show how mathematically the frets of a guitar work. This kind of very simple information may help people, much as the ancients in Greece. They said the universe is structured on musical principles. And in a funny sort of way, we often use the phrase when we're here, when suddenly realizations are made, we say we were tuned in at that point. We use that metaphor, and it's a very apt one. When we know something's in tune, when we're in tune with the environment.
Is this in some way where geometry meets harmonics?
Absolutely, yes. Well, they all meet each other, and in a funny sort of way, I think they're all interpenetrated, but, which is part of the mystery.
All right.
Which is just as much a mystery. Why they're different people.
Some water. But yeah, isn't that pretty cool? How things sync up. Like, who knows? This probably wasn't even in the mind of the person. Well, like in the vivid imagination, in they skill set of know-how, they knowledge of sacred geometry when they was making the guitar. But when you play the guitar, it just tunes you right the fuck in right away. Tunes you right into that mystery aspect, that art form, that thing that's ever evolving, changing aspect of reality, but still like ever so present and telling the story of time itself. That's what a lot of people see when they see the star. When they see that star, the Venturian man is what Da Vinci made out of it, putting the man on there and saying the man is the star, is so that the man is just like the stars, is a reflection of the stars. So I just see that as like our thoughts and how much we are able to imagine about things and still able to correlate it at the same time. If to whatever we choose to do. You see, people will choose to correlate it to whatever they want. Because that's what the mind can do. The mind can correlate things to whatever. This is what this means. This is what this means. This means this because I went through this. This means this because I read a book about this. This means that because this is what mama told me. This there this means this because this what I figured it out on my own, just from my own observations, from seeing what my mama said, seeing what the school said, seeing what so many different facets of reality that somebody had to go through. Then is an opportunity as well to then see what's being said. I think when people get to that kind of grip on reality and say, get a grip on yourself. Like they try to call to like really not get so tunneled into one aspect, but to realize what's really what's going on in the moment. Even if in that moment it can be nothing at all. But just how we add up, how we let the mind add up things to then coming back to hurt ourselves when we can build up the mind to help ourselves. Just like with any technology. You can use the mind to hurt, you can use the mind to build. It's all about what you're trying to feel. Alright, close the door. He can stay in. Roger can stay in. Close the door. Alright. Here we go. Look in the machine. Yeah, I find that guitar pretty awesome. What was this one? Shouts out to this guy. I wanted to play this animation. It was real creative, talking about that creative aspect of the self and what people are able to produce, what energy is able to produce. Like look at like all of Earth being created, not even just mankind. Look at all of Earth being created. The rocks even being creative enough to turn into computers. The work with us to turn into computers. How creative of a rock you gotta be to do that? One day I'm gonna be inside one of those cell phones. Somebody walked over me when they were hiking. I want to be a cell phone one day. Oh yeah, look, shout out to this guy. Look how he put this together. Anybody ever see reality like this on mushrooms? It's being put together. What kind of music is it? Yeah, I can't play it. Dun, 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 dun. Oh, about to cut him up. Moving up the wall, climbing up Assassin's Creed style. Like for his mind to imagine that. He using this as a tool. The paper, printing it out a certain way. Oh yeah, I thought he drew it. Yeah, that's printed out. Okay, I can see how this is possible. That's dope. Shout outs to that. Oh, that is cool. They probably just stole this from somebody else thing. Oh, shout outs to the guy who made that. Yeah. Yeah. She not in here. She's not in here, Sam. Alright. This was cool. I watched through some of it, but I wanted to watch through the rest on the live. It's a guy, he had an awesome psychedelic magic mushroom experience. He calling it crazy, but that's how it gets sometimes. Let's see what he had to say.
So I would like to share last night's magic mushroom experience with y'all. Last night around 11:30, 11:45, or 12, I'm laying in bed and I decide the mushrooms start calling me. You know, sometimes the psychedelics, the entheogens, will actually reach out to you. Strain that I consumed was a crossbreed between Mad Hatters and B+. Now, I want to make you aware that the word hallucination was coined by an individual by the name of Thomas Brown. All right, and hallucination basically alludes to the fact that these magic mushrooms are basically something that's all in your mind, when that's actually false. When you
let's see. Who invented the word hallucinate? I not spell that right. The word hallucinate comes from the Latin alcinatus, later hallucinatus, which is the past participle of hallucinare, meaning to wander in the mind, dream, talk unreasonably, ramble in thought. Introduction to English. The word hallucinations was introduced in the English language in 1646 by Sir Thomas Brown, a 17th century physician and author. And he just took some Latin words to wander in the mind, to talk unreasonably. The word hallucinare is likely related to the Greek eilen or halen, meaning to wander in the mind, be at loss, be beside oneself. Be beside oneself. That's a good one. Sometimes you gotta get beside yourself. Isn't that what they say in all the churches? All right, you trying to get out the door? Go ahead. Don't they say in churches, get beside yourself? So you trying to say they hallucinating when they get beside themselves all in the church? There's a bunch of hallucinating going on. Nothing wrong with it. Nothing wrong with it. Meaning to have illusions. Older meanings. This is a rare and absolute transition, meaning to deceive. Let's see. Why did you create the word? Yeah, we're doing a little knowledge based on here. A little knowledge on the South Top podcast. But it's still fun. But it's still just knowledge. Who cares? The need. Oh, they just saying as a physician. Came later. Alright, okay. Let's hop back into the mushroom journey.
When you consume psilocybin, you gain access to what's called the mycelium network. All right, and you have to remember that psilocybin magic mushrooms actually have been around for millions and millions of years. So that means there's tons of data biologically encrypted in this fungi. Over the years, we were led to believe that psychedelics were bad. They actually demonize these entheogens because they allow you to break the fourth wall and see beyond the veil.
Let's see. How old are mushrooms? Fungi. I'm texting out this Perplexity AI too. Instead of using Google, it searches through different sources and gives you an answer and still gives you the sources if you want to click on them. A 2020 study found fossilized fungi dating back to 715 to 810 million years ago, about 300 million years earlier than previously believed. Believe it! The earliest terrestrial fungus fossils have been found in South China from around 635 million years ago. Usually you hear 65 million years, something like that, and that's the dinosaurs. This is 665 million years old. The fungi likely colonized land during the Cambrian, over 500 years ago, possibly as early as 635 million years ago during the Euclidean. Where did they get this from? Oh, they got this from the wiki. I'm not going to go through that right now. Summary. While fungi may have originated as early as 1.5 to 2.4 billion years ago, well, they just made that part up, AI. Where did you get the billion from? Where did you get the billion from, AI? You need some help with that. Like, yeah, that's still a long time. And data is passed on, like through epigenetics, through people, through even your, like as recent as your grandma and stuff like that. Things that they ate, that they've been through, that they experienced, is playing out in your DNA right now. I was watching a Star Talk episode about that on Star Talk, and with who was that? Neil deGrasse Tyson. Hey, Cameron.
Wow. I guess.
What a
Reaction video.
What a metric.
It's
To
really
create this
I'm
pairing, like odor, or we can use sound. We use odor for
sensory correspondence. Yeah.
sensory correspondence, yes. And I even said the vision, like going into the chamber.
Oh, this is how they found
but
out
we use
that
odor for a very
it was
specific
passed
reason.
down. She talking about the mouse, and what they did was they only gave a certain scent to some of the mice, the father mice, and to see if their lineage will react to the scent the same way that it did, but they never introduced it to it. But in its offspring, they reacted the same way as the dad and stuff was doing. But in the other ones that was never introduced to it, and they was introduced in some kind of way, they reacted totally differently. Because they didn't
And I
have
can
that
either tell you now,
memory
you
in
can
their
ask me, and I
DNA.
can tell you. What do you want me to do?
No, let's.
There's a level of specificity. And in speaking about epigenetic inheritance and transgenerational epigenetic inheritance, what does it mean for us to be stressed because of our ancestors? This is what we're missing in the field. And this is why I'm so proud that my lab has been able to bring this to the field, the level of specificity. Because we're not talking about your feelings getting hurt. We're talking about an odor that only binds and activates this one receptor in this nose.
Right.
And what we've been able to replicate,
Yeah.
another lab did this
Because
first.
in your nose only smell things because it has receptors. So when the smell molecule is going around, scientists say they fit exactly in those receptors. And that's why you smell it. And if you don't have those receptors, then you can't smell it. So they gave this one mice the ability to get those receptors.
And it came up with a lot of controversy. And then totally
That's
skipped
what
a part
happened.
because
Oh,
we're
yeah.
seeing that the offspring have a brain that looks like the parent. But I didn't tell you what the parent brain looks like. We take the animal out of this chamber after 3 days of odor shock pairing. We let them relax. Day 10, they actually get to, have a little fun. They breed because we're going to look at those kids later. And 21 days later, we ask them to sacrifice their life, and then we look at their brain.
Right.
And if you look at the animals that just got an odor and no shock, or just got a shock and no odor, or got odor and shock, but it's not co-terminating at the same time, their brains all look the same. The paired animals, we call it, the animals got the odor co-terminating with shock, they have more neurons that respond to that odor.
Mm-hmm.
So I want to give a second to give the beauty of biology that sits there before we even get to the next generation. The brain takes energy to make new things, to change.
It's
we
an
have
electric,
more
it's an
neurons.
electric device.
It
so
actually
makes
grows
sense.
So what
the
period of
brain.
time
The mouse
does
brain
it
actually
take
grew
for
new
this
neurons.
generation of more receptors?
And it
to
passed
actually
it down to the
happen?
kid at the same time.
We are
In the
seeing it
adult.
in the order of 21 days, about a month. Cool part about the main olfactory epithelium, there's stem cells in this area.
What part? That's the part where the smell.
Exactly, the neurons
manifests?
that can smell the world and then send
And you
information
call that
to
what?
the main olfactory epithelium. Epithelium.
There's another epi.
Look at that.
Okay.
Yeah, that are there.
Stem
and they're
cells.
like, what am I going to be when I grow up? And they usually hang out and they're like, okay, I'm going to be a peppermint cell because that's what my epigenetic modifications will allow me to be. And then we give them this experience, this odor shock pairing. And what we've gone on to demonstrate, what my lab has demonstrated, is that these neurons are going to be peppermint and say, as important as peppermint is,
Not gonna do
almonds
that.
more
Yeah,
important.
I'm not going to do that. I gotta make
I'm
a
gonna
detour.
bias my receptor
I
choice.
gotta make
Yeah.
a detour because that's more important for me.
Okay.
'Cause
So what she's saying is that the genetic disposal is there. Like for the genes to choose to be different things, but they choose to do what they do based off of what they was passed down and down with. And that's how they would then choose to express themselves based off the experience of what's deemed necessary. So imagine with the mushrooms and stuff, having that downloaded to your actual neurons. You see how lion's mane, they talking about the neuroplasticity and how it helps promote new brain growth and stuff like that. New neurons, synapses start firing off like they were when people were kids. It's all there. It's all there. Now let's go back to the mushroom journey of the guy on TikTok.
Got that disclaimer out the way. Last night's trip blew my mind. Once I take the shrooms, I lay back in my bed. I typically like to sit in darkness and put my meditation music on. All right, I don't watch TV or anything. I just go completely inward and I close my eyes like this, right? So I say about 20 minutes go by and the magic mushrooms turn on. They start to kick in. I'm seeing these geometric fractal patterns and things of that nature. And then it start taking me down a tunnel. Typically this is when I'm now know that I'm shifting over to another parallel or paradigm, right? And as I go through this tunnel, as this wormhole actually connect me to this other timeline, it starts to show me different visuals. Magic mushrooms are one of the only entheogens that you can ask a question and they will literally answer, all right? They would telepathically provide the answer to you. Shrooms can actually talk to you.
Now that sound like what they trying to get the AI to do for people too? Be able to think. Oh, don't you want to be able to think and have the answer just pop up? Like our people and our ancestors and people and humans, they've been interacting with different plant technologies that allowed them to interact with the world around them in a magnificent way that to them it was totally normal. And that's how they operated in and the normancy of it. And that's how they then was able to display it like feats of fearlessness. It's like, oh, it's actually pretty normal. It's actually okay. It's actually all right.
Also allows you the ability to hear the ancestors that are always in your auric field. Typically,
we know the rain about to come, and they was steadily always paying attention to signs and stuff that other people wasn't able to pay attention to because their brain was working differently. So then they would call upon the gods or rain dance or certain things, or be able to look in the air and see things that other people would say probably saw stratus clouds and different. They able to pay attention to weather patterns. Just how the farmer is compared to the person that lives in the city. They much more attuned to which way the wind is blowing. Oh, that wind is coming from the east. The east wind is blowing. They usually come down here around May, and they warp around here. That's why it gets colder in the valley than the other part of the city. And so us as humans, I see attuning ourselves to what's necessary, and the entheogens have been a big part of man being able to experience and meditations and how our brains work, period. But I'm talking about now come on, kitty. Yeah, about the meditations and everything, being able to just it's just cat took me to a whole nother paradigm for a minute. I don't know. What did I just say? The other people wasn't able to pay attention to because their brain was working differently. Yeah, they was able to think about things and work with the environment around them, offer different tools. They'll go around in the woods and see what kind of other herbs would be useful to humans for different sicknesses and illnesses that really they would then become the proud medicine woman or proud medicine man of the tribe because they use they imagination and skill set and wonder and their themselves just how they saw their brain working because they was taking mushrooms and different things to go out and see how the plants worked, how they probably saw different birds using the plants, how they probably saw different insects using the plants. And human curiosity will try a bunch of different things when it's willing to. So especially in times of need. Just sprinkle a little bit of this on there. Just sprinkle, rub a little of this on there. You be all right. You be all right. Those type vibes. Let's get back into this.
Your ancestors are always attached to you by your DNA, by way of your genetics and lineage, right? But a lot of people can't really hear their ancestors on a consistent basis unless they have those senses activated, right? But as soon as you utilize the magic mushrooms and access the mycelium network, at that particular point in time, you can hear the voices of your ancestors and everything. Magic mushrooms will also force you to confront your shadow work. If there's anything about yourself that you need to fix, the magic mushrooms would definitely make you observe it. In this trip, it was showing me how low-key we are really superheroes, all right? And it was showing me how at one point they did an experiment where they had multiple people in this laboratory. And they was actually seeing that these individuals had psionic waves. They had the ability of exploding things with their mind, right? And they understood that we all had this type of ability, and this is why they were utilizing different things like the lead, cadmium, the mercury, the chemtrails. There's so many different ingredients in chemtrails that people are unaware of, all right? And it was showing me all of this, and it was showing me how much we are really dumbed down, and that at one point we're gonna get to the point that when we fully do activate, just the thoughts of our mind is going to be exploding things, because we're going to have to learn how to develop our abilities. It was showing me that we truthfully have very strong mental kinetic energy. And I'm not talking about just moving on aluminum or anything. I'm talking about real telekinetic ability, like 11 from Stranger Things or something like that. The shrooms kicked in, they rapidly increased my ability mentally. Like my brain was moving so rapid. It was moving super fast, extremely fast, and the shrooms were also speaking ancient languages to me. They were speaking in different languages when they were talking to me. This is where the trips start getting real crazy, right? And this particular point, I asked the shrooms, who really am I, right? Where did I derive from, and who really am I? The shrooms actually told me that before I fell down to the third dimension and inhabited this physical body, I was a dragon and went by the name of Gal Saldran. Now, at this point, I start debating with the shrooms. Like, I didn't agree with them. Like, nah, that's foolish, right? And then they start telling me, well, pay attention to the signs. They start telling me, why do you think you get so many dragon symbolisms? Like, this was a gift that was gifted to me. Here's another thing I would like to show you. This is another thing that found its way to me, all right? This is a sword, all right? And this is actually a gold dragon, all right? This is composed of a gold dragon here, all right? And if you see here, this is the full sword here. That's a dragon, right? And out of all things that I could have received, what made it be a dragon? And the shrooms was actually showing me this, all right? And as I expressed to the collective, in order to get rid of malevolent entities, blue is required, all right? And the sword is actually blue, all right? We know that in ancient times, they used Hank blue to get rid of the boo hags. The shrooms start showing me characteristics of my face that actually was similar to a dragon, like my nose and things of that nature. And it made me aware of all the dreams and astral projection experiences that I have had where I seen multiple dragons. There was one
the shrooms would do that. The shrooms, they will show you a lot of experiences that you had throughout your whole life, and have your memories start just coming back from all the daydreaming. I used to daydream a lot in school. I used to just be looking out the window. Even while doing my work, I'll just be daydreaming about the numbers jumping around or different things. Mushroom showed a lot of how that was connected to reality, to things that's part of who I am in my being, or how a person is made up. What a person is made up of, their feelings, their emotions, their thoughts, the imagination of things. And how some people play off the imagination. It's not real, don't really matter. But then we encourage kids to imagine all the time. Or if a movie ain't imaginative enough, we like, this movie is bogus, this movie ass, trash, throw it away.
Experience that I have I encountered recently where I was flying and I actually just encountered a realm full of dragons, right? And the shrooms actually told me, what made you think that you were still in a human body when you were in that realm? They told me you didn't have access to a mirror or the access to your reflection. They made me aware that at that time when I was seeing the dragons, that I was a dragon myself. It's left me in complete awe, They made me aware that a lot of us actually that are in this current body have completely different looks in the astral realm. Some of us are fairies, pixies. Some individuals are trolls. Some individuals are mermaids. You know, there's a lot of different type of entities that exist. Explained to me that I take many different forms in the astral realm, but my primary form, my first form, was this dragon entity.
And you left it right there.
So I would like to share
that was a dope story. Strange the World Play King. Thanks for uploading. That was a cool story. That's what he said at the end.
Of us are fairies, pixies.
Oh yeah, he's talking about the seeing people as things on the other side. I heard a lot of stories. You hear this a lot of stories in psychedelic space. People turning into other people when they turn around, look at them, they start looking different and things like that. Or even in the space. I remember this one time I took DMT and I was sitting with all my friends and I saw all of us in different realities, but doing similar things. Like doing similar things to what we was doing then. But we was in multiple realities. There was so many different scenarios. But it was the same thing happening. And think about the AI and virtual reality space. I played a lot of VR. I played something on this channel too, where you could design your character or choose an avatar and play out that character. That game has so many people playing online now. So many people that live out in there, just living as a whale or as Mario or as a dragon. Hey, kitty. This cat's not leaving me alone. Just gonna chill out on the Side Top podcast. Yeah, that's the vision space. It gets wild. Because the mushrooms and your own vision will show you a lot of things about where we allegedly come from. But I pose the question, what's the difference between a past life, a parallel life, and somebody writing a story and really getting real in depth to it and playing it out? And then being so much, person feeling so much in depth in there that when they put it out, it affects the whole world. What is the difference? Just Todd. Mushroom, we did that one. Let's go up. All right. Went through the videos. I think I'm going to end it right there, guys. Thank you for tuning on in. This was the Side Top Podcast with your host, Santai. This video, this video is brought to you by Just Todd Mushrooms. JustToddMushrooms.com. Go and check it out. Got meditations, games, open experiences, Just Todd Now news articles, recipes, and a little bit of history. Anything that you need. And coming soon is Just Todd AI.ai, where you can play some games I created with the help of using AI. Simon says, got a little Tetris code. And gonna have some articles up there posted up on the daily. This is the beta. Y'all seeing it early. And I thank y'all for being here. Have a good night.